You're eating well, you're sleeping enough, you exercise, and you're still exhausted. Every single day. There's a biological reason for that, and it starts in your gut. Most people, when they feel chronically tired, assume it's stress or age or not sleeping deeply enough. And those things matter, but there's a layer beneath all of them that almost no one talks about, and that your doctor almost certainly hasn't mentioned. Inside your gut, there are specific bacteria whose primary job is to produce the compounds that fuel your cells. Not metaphorically, literally. They manufacture molecules that your mitochondria, the energy factories inside every cell, depend on to function. And after 40, those bacteria begin to die off, quietly, measurably, without a single symptom you can point to, until the fatigue becomes something you can't explain away anymore. A 2025 study published in MDPI Nutrients found a direct link between declining gut microbiome diversity and mitochondrial dysfunction in aging adults. The connection isn't indirect, it's mechanistic. The bacteria decline, the fuel supply drops, and your cells begin running on empty. My name is Dr. Nathan Cole. This is Hidden Health Protocol, where we translate what the research actually says into something you can use. Let's get into it. Let me start with what's actually happening. In your 20s and 30s, your gut microbiome, the ecosystem of bacteria living inside your digestive tract, is at its most diverse. Hundreds of different species, each playing a different role, keeping each other in balance. After 40, that diversity begins to drop. The beneficial species start to decline. The species associated with inflammation start to increase, and the overall balance of the ecosystem shifts slowly, consistently, and in a direction that costs you energy. A 2026 study from BBC Science Focus and supporting PMC research confirmed that specific bacterial groups, particularly Bifidobacterium and Roseburia, start declining measurably in adults over 40. These aren't random bacteria. They're the ones most associated with producing the compounds your cells need for energy. Here's what makes this particularly important. This isn't just about digestion. When these bacteria decline, they stop producing something called short-chain fatty acids, and that's where your energy problem actually begins.
Short-chain fatty acids, that's the term. But let me tell you what they actually are, because the name doesn't do them justice. Think of your gut bacteria as a manufacturing facility. When they process fiber, the plant material you eat, they produce a set of compounds as a byproduct. Short-chain fatty acids are those compounds, and they are, arguably, some of the most important molecules your body makes. The most critical one is called butyrate. Butyrate does three things that are directly relevant to your energy and your aging rate. First, it's the primary fuel source for the cells lining your intestine. Without it, your gut wall weakens, and you already know from the last video what happens when the gut wall breaks down. Second, butyrate has direct anti-inflammatory effects. It suppresses the activation of NF-kappa B, a molecular switch that triggers inflammation throughout the body. Less butyrate means the switch stays on longer, the fire burns hotter. Third, and this is the part most people don't know, butyrate influences mitochondrial function. Research published in Genome Medicine in 2025 showed that butyrate-producing bacteria are directly linked to healthier mitochondrial output in aging cells. So, when your gut bacteria decline after 40, butyrate production drops, your gut wall weakens, inflammation increases, and your mitochondria, the machines that generate your energy, start running less efficiently. That's not a metaphor, that's a measurable biochemical chain reaction, and it begins in your gut.
Here's the part of this research that I find most compelling. Scientists studying centenarians, people who reach 100 in good health, consistently find something unusual in their gut microbiomes. The bacteria that produce butyrate and other short-chain fatty acids are still present, still active, still producing. They're still making it. A 2026 study published in Cell, Host, and Microbe identified a previously unknown group of gut bacteria called CAG170, found in over 11,000 human gut samples across 39 countries. Healthy individuals had significantly more of these bacteria. People with chronic disease, obesity, and chronic fatigue had far less. What do CAG170 bacteria do? They produce vitamin B12, which supports the other beneficial bacteria in the gut ecosystem. They help maintain the balance that keeps butyrate production running. They are essentially a keystone species for gut energy. And here's the finding that matters most. The centenarians who had the healthiest, most energy-productive gut microbiomes weren't that way because of genetics. Analysis of twin studies consistently shows that the gut microbiome is less than 20% heritable. More than 80% of its composition is determined by lifestyle. What you eat, how much you move, how consistently you sleep. These factors shape your microbiome, and through your microbiome, they shape your energy, your inflammation, and your rate of biological aging. The centenarians aren't lucky. They've been doing something differently, and the research is beginning to show us what.
So what does the research actually say you can do to restore microbial energy production? Let me be precise about this. I'm going to give you mechanisms, not marketing. First, fiber diversity, not just fiber quantity. The research is clear that different bacteria feed on different types of fiber. Eating 30 or more different plant foods per week, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, has been consistently associated with higher microbiome diversity and higher short-chain fatty acid output. This isn't about eating more of the same thing, it's about variety. Different plants carry different fibers. Different fibers feed different bacteria. More diversity in what you eat creates more diversity in who lives in your gut, and more diversity means more butyrate. Second, cardiovascular exercise. A 2026 study following adults aged 50 to 75 through 24 weeks of combined cardio and resistance training found measurable increases in SCFA-producing bacteria and elevated butyrate levels in the blood, independent of dietary changes. The mechanism here is interesting. Exercise increases gut motility, the speed at which food moves through the digestive tract. This creates a more favorable environment for butyrate-producing bacteria to thrive. It also reduces the inflammatory bacteria that compete with them. Third, consistent sleep timing. This one surprises people. Research has shown that irregular sleep, going to bed at different times each night, disrupts the circadian rhythm of your gut bacteria. Yes, your gut bacteria have a circadian rhythm. They produce different compounds at different times of day. Disrupting that rhythm reduces butyrate output and increases gut permeability. It's not just how long you sleep, it's how consistently, same window every night. The research on this is remarkably consistent across studies. Let me bring this together. After 40, the bacteria in your gut that produce short-chain fatty acids, particularly butyrate, begin to decline. This isn't abstract. It's a measurable reduction in a compound that fuels your gut lining, suppresses inflammation, and directly supports your mitochondrial function. When butyrate drops, your gut wall weakens, inflammation increases, your cells produce less energy, and you feel it as fatigue that doesn't respond to more sleep, more coffee, or more willpower. The centenarians who maintain their energy into advanced age aren't doing it on genetics. Their microbiomes are still producing, and the evidence shows that what keeps those bacteria alive and active is fiber diversity, consistent movement, and regular sleep timing. Not supplements, not protocols. The fundamentals, executed consistently, are what the research actually shows. I've left a link in the description.